I'm nervous about publishing this episode because it's so different from what I've done. I've gotten onto topics and into topics that I generally don't dive into, but I truly just felt that I needed to bring this to you, that I needed to share this in some way with you, and hope that by doing so, you will find expansion and hope and inspiration, and keep leaning into the trust that the world is rising up to meet you. The world is expanding. Everything is getting better, even if for a little while it looks like it's all going fuck shit sideways. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my love, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. Whew. I am feeling some feels today, and part of it is, oh my gosh, it's a lot of things. Part of it's just where I am in my cycle. Ladies, can we just talk about for a half second how annoying it is when you feel like everything's on your side and you're like, this is amazing, and then you hit that week right before your period where like everything sort of nosedives and you're like, what am I even doing? Like my life is going nowhere. Super fun to deal with the biologies sometimes. Am I right? Another influence on how I've been feeling the last day or two. I think I'm just fucking over. We've been in a period of rain and cool weather. It's probably been like a week and a half, which I know doesn't sound like very much, and it isn't in the grand scheme of things, but I'm a person who really loves sunshine and loves being outside, and also, I know this sounds counterintuitive because I love the winter, but like being out in the cold is not my jam. So anyway, I'm hopeful that I love seeing how green it is. It is really awesome to see how green it is, and I know that for sure we need the moisture so much. There's already wildfires in different places across Canada, and the moisture is welcome, but like getting out in the sunshine would be lovely too. So that's where we're at. I am going to do a different kind of episode today. This is something that's been on my mind for a while, and I've been trying to think of the best medium to bring this out. I don't know if the podcast is the best medium, but it's the medium that we're going to go with for now, and we shall see. I want to have a conversation about the state of the world. Now, before you go away, don't be like, I'm fucking out of here. This is not a complaint session. This is not going to be me filling you with a whole bunch of dread and doom and gloom. I am not going to be going deep into politics and all of the jazz, but I will be noting a few things just to kind of help give some context as to what I want to share. My intent for you is for this episode to be a really uplifting, expanding kind of episode. I mean, the truth is that's how I approach all my episodes, but like this one is for shows how I want that to land. So where do I want to start? Okay. This is not, you don't care, but I'm just going to like talk you through because that's sort of how I roll. I have my phone in front of me always when I'm recording to be ready to record video, and there's the hesitation of my voice is like, do I just record like most of the episode so that I can edit out whatever 2 minutes I think is useful for the socials? I think that's what we're gonna do. So, all right, I'm gonna hit my record. There we are. All right, so let's put a tiny bit of context on this because I don't know when you are going to be listening to this episode. Today, this is not when you'll be hearing this because this episode will come out in about a week and a half, something like that. But today is May 21st. It's a Wednesday. It's a rainy Wednesday in Calgary. And oh my goodness, the first 5 months of the year just feels like some fucking twisted roller coaster that I think most of us are like, when did we buy this ticket and can we please get off? Um, I know I'm not alone in this, and I cannot tell you when it's going to end. Um, today's going to have a lot of pauses. I just want you to be patient with me, because I want to really channel through how I want to frame up the insight that I want to bring for you. Hey, babe, are you enjoying these conversations and wanting just a little bit more? Then you'll love my email newsletter, Insights. Inside each Insights email, I share the latest transmissions and some of my deepest thoughts, the kinds of ideas and breakthroughs that I just don't post anywhere else. These emails have practical and actionable shifts that you can make right away to transform your life one step at a time. No fluff, just real, honest insights that make a difference. Plus, as an Insights subscriber, you'll get early access to my newest offers and services before anyone else even hears about them. If you're ready to go deeper, to make a real change, and to be the first to know what's next, then sign up for Insights today. Click the link in the show notes or head to amyvanmeel.com/insights. Don't miss out, babe. Join my email community and start receiving your regular dose of inspiration directly from me. Head on over to amyvanmeel.com/insights. So the first 5 months, if you've lived anywhere in North America in particular, has been a trash fire. A trash fire that's falling off the back of a truck that's speeding down the highway at like 1,000,000,000 miles an hour and is like tumbling through the ditch, right? Like, oh my gosh, it has been just a shit show and a half. Regardless of where your leanings lie in the political spectrum, whether you are a Trump supporter or not, whether for those of us in Canada, whether you are a Liberal supporter or not, because of course we just went through a federal election as well. I don't know if the rest of the world is aware of that. So yes, I'm going to say hopeful changes in Canada, but like here we are. We're in for whatever the next few years look like. And candidly, I feel like the political landscape has really devolved. I don't get super entrenched in politics. I'm not a big fan of politics. I don't have a very high opinion of politicians, but I've been thinking a lot lately about the beginnings of government and sort of the evolution to where we've come to today. And one of the things that I think is hard to put a finger on, but I think is part of why we're feeling so frustrated and disconnected with it, is I think that government on the whole, I can't, paint every single government at every single level and every single country and every single like location with the same brush, but I'm just going to say that on the whole, what I think is happening, or at least what I'm observing is happening, is that there is a forgetting in levels of government that they are servants to the public. And why I think that is happening is, let me say that differently because it's not why I think it's happening. Why that's my observation is that so much of what I've been seeing happening on the political spectrum, and this isn't just lately, like this is not just the last 5 months, but for a long, long time, is first of all, polarization is huge. I don't know how many people I've talked to over the last, I'm going to even just say 5 years, but I can go longer than that, where it just feels like political parties and political candidates are becoming more and more as opposite as they can. And in fact, so many political platforms, when we are in election timeframes, are, if one candidate says they stand for this thing, then the other candidate somehow has to stand for the opposite. And the truth is that I think the vast majority of citizens in every country, everyone in their own cultural way, right? Because every country has a slightly different culture and heartbeat that beats within it. But I think the majority of people are not these hard swings one way or the other. I hold media to account for this as well. I've touched on this briefly. That there used to be a sense of responsibility, I think, in media outlets across the globe, to be factual, to be balanced, to inform. And I feel like that has fallen away in pursuit of clicks and dollars, and in particular advertising dollars, because of course media outlets need our eyeballs or our ears or, our fingers if you're reading Braille, in order to generate advertising dollars. Okay, so I'm with you, and I have no issue with businesses making money. That's not the problem here. The problem is that sometime, I think it's like the 50s or the 60s. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head when it happened exactly, but there was a shift in media when they discovered that headlines that focused on fear and scarcity and lack really outsold any other balanced headline by, like, I'm not talking a small amount, okay? I'm talking about a lot. So, and this is where I'm going to hold all of us to task. It is super easy for us to blame media for not being balanced and not being factual and not focusing on informing. But let's be real, it is our behavior and our engagement that drives what they put out. So if you are clicking on headlines, and this is on every version of media, that are like right in the headline, it's all fear and scarcity and lack, you are feeding into the machine. You're literally generating more of, like, it's like an upvote to say, yes, more of this, please. Now, I don't have the solution. I would love to. Even if I had the solution, I don't know that like media would listen to me. But I do think that it is really important that each of us become really personally responsible for where we are flowing our energy. Now, we talk about this a lot on the podcast as it relates to creating the desires that we want. And I am going to kindly and firmly hold you to account here to say, are you flowing your energy, your attention, the literal action of clicking on something or buying a newspaper into a stream that you want more of? Okay? Like, just think about that. My husband, who I've said so many times is amazing, and I had a slightly different topic that I was thinking I might do yesterday, and I'll probably do that another day, but he is deeply informed, and he is better able than me to sort of take in some of the news and like stuff that's happening. Now, he also doesn't do mainstream media, like he's not reading newspapers and all that kind of stuff, but he does a lot of YouTube. And what I noticed is that every now and again I'll peek over his shoulder to be like, what are you watching on YouTube? And he knows that like most of the stuff that he's watching does not fly when I sit down and we sit down to watch something together. It just tanks my energy or it's kind of boring. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in going into like the financial charts of this blah, blah, blah company and like whatever. But I noticed the other day that some of the headlines that he was clicking on were these fear and scarcity based headlines. And I'm like, why are you watching those? He's like, I don't know. I was kind of curious to see what it was about. And I'm going to say it this way. The problem with that is that by clicking on it, we are feeding into the algorithm to say what is important, which means that it will go out and more people will find it. This is why, this isn't news to you, right? Like if you're here, you're not dumb. You're a very smart, informed, intelligent, intuitive person. But like, that's literally how the algorithm, goodness gracious, works. Maybe I should start drinking. That could help this whole situation. It's why all content creators, I am not immune to this. It is part of my job. It's part of what I have to do in order to give you that kind of boost and help what I want to, not what I want to, well, some of it what I want to, but what I really feel that I'm put on the earth for to get it out is that I ask you, like, if you haven't done so yet, please leave a review of the podcast. If this episode was helpful for you, please share it out. Be sure to tag me on the socials. I do that because, of course, I understand that like it would be amazing if in an ideal world, the algorithm just knew, oh, hey, this is really positive, inspiring content. Let's promote this. But that's not how it works. It works through our influence, through our action, through the things that we do. Okay. So when you are listening to it, it tells the algorithm, okay, this is important. If you leave a review, it goes, oh, okay, here's another data point that says that this is important. If you're sharing it so then other people are hearing as well, then you are again influencing how the world is shaped. That's literally what you're doing. And it's so funny. I find this so funny. It's so funny that we seem to be able to easily share stuff that's like really, I'm going to say just detrimental to our energy, right? Like the jaw-dropping, highly dramatic TikTok videos or Instagram reels or news headlines or YouTube videos or whatever. We easily share the silly things. Listen, I am not immune to an awesome baby animal video. Okay. Those are my jam because they just are somehow always adorable. And it almost doesn't matter what the animal is. I will even watch a cute baby snake. So we share those easily, but what we don't share is often stuff like this that actually really resonates with us, that hits a space deep inside that we go, yes, can we have more of this in the world? But if I say to you, hey, babe, can you share this episode out? I'm super curious. How willing are you to share that? Because are you worried that someone is going to think that you are naive or dumb or too much in the woo or like, wow, that person like listens to a weird fucking shit, right? The thing that I find fascinating, don't knock this because everybody has their own. I am fascinated by the fact that so many women, and it seems to be women in particular, which is really fascinating to me, listen to true crime podcasts. I don't get it. I'm like, why? Because like we as a demographic are already so much more targeted and susceptible to all this kind of like the literal crimes happening. Why do we want to listen to podcasts that are talking about it? Everybody has their own reason. You don't need to like drop into my DMs and be like, Amy, this is the reason why I listen to blah, blah, blah podcast. Okay. I don't get it. I don't listen to them because it does nothing for me other than make me terrified of everything around me and like super drops my energy. And in order for me to show up as a leader, as a guide, as someone who is here to expand the world as opposed to contract or keep the world stuck, my number one job is to really guard and guide my energy. That's my job. Let me tell you, if you came to me, you start working with me as your coach, and every day I'm like, okay, so listen, the world is fucked. Nothing you do is going to matter. By the way, I saw this headline of like this person that got murdered and this shooting that happened there and this flood that happened there and this tornado that happened there. Like, come on. I mean, how long would you work with me? Right? You might get one session and be like, I'm fucking out of here. I would like a refund, please. That's because that is not my job. My job is not to show up and like bring you down. My job is to hold my energy to the highest vibration that I can and hold it there to welcome you up and help you expand. That's my job. Okay? And being in the shit does not help me do that. Okay, I digress. Let me get off my little milk crate on that one. So yes, okay. So the state of the world. I've alluded to this. I've said this sort of in a passing comment a number of times. I am going to say this very clearly, and I'm going to do my best to, how do I want to say this? I don't know. I'm going to do my best, I guess, to just like be clear and candid and loving about this. The world is in a massive state of expansion right now. I know. It doesn't look and feel that way. I get it. Okay. I am not immune to what is happening. I am not immune to the scarcity and the fear and the worry that is just, it feels like it is seeping into every atom that exists on the planet right now. The fact that it is so prevalent means that all of us are being influenced by this. I've heard of a number of very successful online businesses that have done tens of millions in sales like per year in the last few years, where the last 18 months, their businesses are just like their sales and revenue are just tanking. I have heard of spiritual leaders that have talked about the fact that like there's a really, they're in their own energetic shifts and containers right now. They're sort of caterpillaring in because there's so much happening, and they are in the process of their own growth, of their own expansion. And I think it's easy to, I know it's really easy to look at that and be filled with fear and be filled with anxiety. And I'm going to just tell you very candidly, I sat down to record this just before 1:00 for about, well, I'm going to say about, basically the morning, because it's sort of on and off. And here's my Virgo brain trying to be very precise. From this minute to this minute in the morning, and yesterday as well, I have been feeling low and being really challenged with shifting my thoughts and shifting my emotions. And I have a vast arsenal of tools available to me. And these are tools that I share and teach to my clients all the time. I have a vast arsenal of tools available to me to shift my thoughts, to shift my energy, to shift my focus. And I have been using almost like every single one in order to find my way through this space. And it's frustrating as someone who really believes that I'm here to guide and lead, to feel myself feeling like I'm like on the ground wanting to just sob my eyes out, going like, nothing's happening, and like the world is fucked, and what's poor me supposed to do, or little me supposed to do? It's challenging. Like, on top of feeling not awesome, then I also feel like I need to hold myself to a higher standard in order to keep showing up for you. So it's a super fun cycle. But what I, and of course, and I've said this before, the universe always, always, always perfectly meets me where I am. And it will find some way to give me exactly what I need at exactly the moment that I need it. And today's very specific, beautiful unfolding for me was like a 3-paragraph section from the Esther and Jerry Hicks book that I've mentioned. I think I mentioned it last week. That talks about looking for the better feeling thought and gives clarity around that. Like, don't go for like this giant leap, because like that doesn't work. Just like, what is the next best feeling thought that you can find? And it's practice. It is just daily committing to it. I love that a coach shared this with me recently, being relentless about what we're choosing. And I want to pull that into what's happening in the world. The world is in a state of expansion. The last time, I don't have kind words for him, but the last time that Trump was in office, I remember the first like 6 months. Well, let's be real. Before the inauguration or whatever it's called, I was like just dumbfounded. I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening. This is happening? Like, did I get transported to some like bizarre clown planet? I don't understand what's going on. And then the first 6 months that he was in office, I was like, oh my God, this is just a disaster. And then as things unfolded while he held the position, I was like, oh my God, okay. Not because he's so awesome, but because he's a catalyst, his being where he was prompted a lot of expansion. There are better ways that we could go about getting this, okay? I'm going to just be real to you. So this is not me saying, hey, I think he's great. We should have him in office more. But because of our human, I don't know, condition, I guess, that we struggle against change, and we're like, no, I don't want to change. I don't want to change. I want everything to stay the same. I want everything to just be good all the time. That's not how it works. And like, literally, our life is literal change. Your cells are changing in every second of every day. All right. But we fight against it. And when we get really stagnant, you've seen markers of this, excuse me, in your own life, where you want something different, but you also aren't really willing to like take the actions or do the moves to free up space and move in the direction of what you want. And this is often why people will come into coaching, because they're like, Amy, I know my life is meant for more, and I'm just not sure how to get there. And so we work on that. We figure out what that looks like for them, and we work on that. But in order to even get there, you have to be willing, open, and able to go through the change, because change is required. What happens when we as a human group, right, as humanity gets stuck, and as a whole, this is where we really resist change when it comes to like big swaths of us. We really get stuck in and entrenched in what we know. We don't want change. And I'm going to call this out. And there's a part of me that's like, this could like blow up my whole career right now. And possibly in a good way, but possibly in a bad way. We are at the inflection point of the changing of the guard. What has been in place for the last many thousands of years has been a power dynamic and a structure that has existed and thrived at the detriment of the vast majority of people. And I say this not saying like all straight white men are bad, but the power structures, and this is every structure, okay? So I'm talking government structures, I'm talking corporate structures, I'm talking financial structures, all of the structures that exist in our reality that are sources of influence and power. And like, I don't care what you say about or how you feel about like money or business or whatever, these are unequivocally sources of influence and power. But they have thrived over the last however many thousands of years by holding the majority of people back and down. That's literally how it's happened. It's not just women that have been held back. It's not just people of color that have been held back. It's not just people with differing sexual orientations or expressions that have been held back. It's been all of them. And I also am going to say it has been holding back straight white men, and it has been holding back humanity as a whole. These structures need to give way. But because we are so determined to not rock the boat, in effect, we bear down. We do this in our lives as well. We bear down and go, okay, well, hopefully it will get better. Hopefully somebody will stand up. Hopefully something will happen. And when that doesn't happen, eventually, I'm going to just talk at the level of your life, and I want you to be able to like take this and look at the grander scheme of things. Eventually, because that desire that you have is out there and is so clear, then universe is going to come in and go, okay, all this shit's got to go. And all of a sudden your life is imploding. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And at the moment, it feels gross and terrifying and disheartening and fucking lonely. And like, I could go on and on and on. It's not a super fun experience. And provided that you don't lock into a story that your life is garbage and nothing ever works out for you, provided you stay open to things improving, they will always improve. Okay? They will. It is the natural state of the cosmos to expand and is full of abundance. If you have a desire for more love or joy or happiness or money or whatever in your life, that desire is out there and is doing its best to come into you. And if you have this desire strong enough, but you somehow seem to be getting in the way, eventually, like, Source is like, okay, let's just like fucking move some shit along. Whereas you could, instead of fighting it, you could like actively engage and be part of it. And it's not going to always feel awesome, but it won't feel so bad. What is happening on the global scale is that there is enough of us who have said, and I'll say woke culture is part of this. I'm not saying that they've done it great. I think we've definitely over-indexed. But there is enough of us standing up and saying, this doesn't work. What is in place is not working. I'm not okay anymore with, giving up my entire life for fucking pennies on the dollar to work for a company that shows me no loyalty, that would lay me off at the drop of a hat, while the top people, who again, I'm just going to candidly say, are often men, and the majority, I'm going to guess, are white. I have not seen the demographics, and every company will look different. But on the whole, from what I know, that is what it looks like. The people at the top get these massive payouts and massive bonuses, even as people are losing their retirements and their jobs and like healthcare and so much more. And we are at the point in the world where it has happened enough, and there doesn't seem to be any checks and balances coming in place, that the collective is saying enough. It's not okay anymore. We are not okay with this. We are unwilling to sit down or bend over or fucking crawl on our hands and knees or on our belly in order to try and scrape out a living while a very few of you take home the vast majority of the wealth and ensure that the financial structures in place are there to prop you up at the detriment of the collective. Okay? Let me just come back. I do feel like there could be. Do you ever have this moment where you kind of have this odd sort of macro out of body moment where it's is this the moment that historians are going to look back at and be like, so that moment right there, that was the beginning. It's possible that this is that moment. Like I said, it's a very different episode than what I normally do. I want to, where are we at? Okay. Let me just think through how I want to approach this. There are catalysts for change arriving in our reality every day. The political, I feel like I need to surround this word with air quotes, leaders, because I'm just going to be candid and say that so many people, and I'm not just saying at the top, so many people who are supposedly supposed to be leading countries and governments and corporations are not being true leaders. They're being very selfish. I'm going to say cliquey kind of people. Again, this is okay. I just want to say this really funny. There's been a shift in the world that every single thing that we say has to be done with a caveat. Isn't that a fascinating thing? That I say this thing and there's going to be a part of you that resonates. And then you're going to go, yeah, but Amy, there's this person who's not like that. And, maybe you're a business leader that you're listening to this and you're like, but Amy, I'm not like that. And, I'm just trying to get ahead. And here's all the reasons why, this isn't blah, 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 blah. So here we find ourselves having to create these caveats and be like, oh, I didn't, I know that it's not everybody. Anyway, it's just a weird fucking thing. And one of the most interesting things, and I notice this at all levels and it fucking fascinates me, is people's approach to swear words. I've talked about this on the podcast before. I think it's fucking fascinating that people get all clutch their pearls, hoity-toity, whatever, gross energy, when someone swears. And I'm like, can we get over ourselves already? Every single one of us swears. And by the way, before you get all, I don't swear, Amy, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before in the podcast. If you say something like fudge sticks when you're mad, that's literally a swear word. Okay? And I know that you can go, no. Grammatically, it's just a word. It is always your intent behind something. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, this one needs to be triple E right, this episode. So let me come back and then let's wrap this up. The world is in a state of expansion. In order to expand, we need catalysts for change. Because we are so determined to try and somehow hold on to all the best things and make it painless in a way, what we do is we actually resist change. And as a broad society, because of course most of us can't agree on what change exactly should look like, there is this friction within the group of humanity on what should happen and what should not. Now this I think is probably pretty universal. And I say that just based on so many conversations that I've heard, so many things that I've seen, the way people respond and react at different things happening in the world. What I do think that the world on the whole is saying is these old structures are broken. They don't work. And we're tired of really being in this gross, we're the serfs. That's the word that comes through, SERF, which is pulling on my history and hoping my history teacher from high school isn't the fuck, Amy, why don't you remember this? But I'm going to say like 1600s, right? When you had owners and the serfs. And then, which for some reason we never talk about. And then we got into the whole like slaves, right? Same kind of deal, slightly different. Sure. Again, this is not a political thing of like, no, Amy, slaves are different than serfs. I get it. Okay. With you. And also the basis is that there is a mass collective of people. In order for a very few amount of people to have massive hoarded amounts of resources, and they often come with this sense of entitlement that any resources that exist are completely at their pleasure of use and overuse, I would say, that the like vast majority basically need to be convinced, and we've been convinced, and we've been doing a good job. We've been good students. Yay, good job, everybody. On bowing down and just trying to eke out a living. I'm going to call it the American dream, because that's really how it's always been touted. And if I say that, you know what I mean. The American dream is broken. To so many, I'm going to say like millennial generation and down, it is almost impossible to buy a house. It's not impossible. Okay. If you've been with me long enough, you'll know I'm all about expansion, and everything that you want is possible for you. But it is not the same as what it used to be. Case in point, my brother-in-law had a birthday this week, and we gave him one of those like birthday books. It's like, here's what was happening the year that you were born. And one of my favorite things about those if you've never seen them before, they're fantastic, and they're often sold at like gas stations and stuff. But one of my favorite things about those books is the chart at the back that talks about like, here's what house prices were, and here's what the average salary was, and here's what the whatever. So in the year that he was born, the average salary was $8,000, and the average cost of a house was $15,000. Isn't that cute? Because like, let's be real. The average salary now, I don't believe, is $80,000. And the average house is definitely not $150,000. There is a massive disconnect. But the problem is, and it's been so fascinating because I've been having this conversation over and over in the last few weeks. It's very interesting to me. And I touched on this last week in the podcast. There is a generational disconnect from what the generations before us, and I will say even before Gen X. So my husband is Gen X. The majority of our friends are Gen X because like they all sort of imported to me with my hubs. So pre-Gen X, it was accessible and relatively easy to purchase a house, to have a family, to, do all the things that are the quote American dream. That all began to shift. Gen X, I'm going to say, was the last of the generations that had reasonable access to that. And I have had not one, but many conversations with friends who are in the Gen X generation who said in various different ways, if I hadn't bought this condo, this house, this whatever, when I was in my 20s and gotten in the real estate market then, I wouldn't be able to afford a place now. And these are people who are accomplished professionals making pretty healthy salaries. So it's very frustrating as a millennial, as a Gen Y, as a Gen Z, I guess I'm the Gen Y, isn't it? As a Gen Z, as a Gen Alpha, we have this massive disconnect that says, here's the dream. This is what you should be going for. And also, there's no money for you to fucking buy any of it, right? And the financial structures that are in place are built in place by the people who benefit from the collective not having enough, okay? So that's where we're at. So there has been enough of us saying, this doesn't work. Something different needs to happen. And that targeted desire, that groundswell request for expansion is being answered. It's what's happening right now. It is being answered. And we can look at this from a whole bunch of different ways, but I'm going to give you two. All right. We can look at this from how we're looking at it right now. Fear and scarcity based. With a fear and scarcity based perspective, when I say to you that all of the structures that are in place need to be reworked in order for the expansion and the desire of the collective to be met, in order to find balance, okay? And we're never going to totally find balance. That's just not how it works. It's just, there's just too many of us. But to move closer to a sense of balance versus where we are now, which is completely out of whack, those structures need to fall away. And the most fear-bound of us will go, oh my gosh, okay, so like there's talk of world war. And what if there's civil war in the US? And what if they, I know this for sure, for some of us in Canada, like what if they fucking decide to invade us? And like, all this kind of stuff. That is fear and scarcity based. It is fear-based. I'm going to speak directly to some Canadian politics here for a second. It is fear-based when we were looking at certain conservative politicians, and I'm going to specifically say conservatives because they tend to be a little bit more this way, because it draws a certain kind of person, I suppose, into that realm. It is fear-based to say that we don't want, XYZ politician because what if they repeal all of the I don't even know if it's a law necessarily. See, this is where my like not loving politics kind of gets a little bit in the way of what I'm trying to communicate. But the protections that are in place for specifically female health, okay? Let's just like blatantly call out the fact that it is reasonably accessible for a woman in Canada to have an abortion. Whether you agree with it or not is not the question. It is a health practice, an alternative, an opportunity, an option that is available for women. And candidly, in my opinion, must always be available for women, because we know from history that if that option is not a legally and a health regulated opportunity and option available for women, they are still going to find a way to make it happen. But it's going to come at a tremendous cost. And that's where I get so frustrated when we look at the fear-based focus of like, oh God, like what if this, here's my hope. And this is what I said before as well. I've said this to many friends when this has come up. Like, what, Amy, but like, what about women's rights? And I'm like, look, this is my hope that like, should something like that really happen, which I doubt, but like, should something like that really happen, there are enough intelligent, informed, influential women who are going to stand up and say, fuck no, and find a way to ensure that that is protected. I can't say for sure if that would be, and I also can't say that that would happen overnight, but I can say that like moving away from something as simple that like is just a healthcare decision between, I'm just going to be straight with you, first of all, just the woman herself, and then probably maybe the father and her doctor. Like, it's not a question of, nobody questions whether it should be available for men to have a circumcision later on in life, right? Nobody questions that. That's not even a question to say, should that be something that's available through the healthcare system? It's a decision that they're making. So I know this is a really like polarizing topic. I'm getting all hot under the collar thinking about it. But what I want to point out is the fear-based thinking. Fear-based thinking says, oh my gosh, this is the worst that could happen. What if that happens? Okay? So that's fear-based thinking. And that is what is happening, oh my gosh, at such gross, immense scale right now in the world. Okay? So that's what's going on. Here's another option. Expansion-based thinking. And this is where I exist. This is where I endeavor to keep my energy in, and I slip because, like, fuck me, there's so much fear-based thinking out there right now. But expansion-based thinking looks at what's happening and says, these are catalysts for change. These are markers for change. These are, like, regardless of whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, the truth is he's a catalyst for change. Not always great. Don't love the way he does shit. Have my own thoughts on those. But it's pretty hard to argue with the fact that he's a catalyst for change. And what I think was so fascinating, at least the first time that he was in office, is that, like, there's so much that happened that was like, because he was there, people stood up and said no more. I suspect that some of that is what's happening now. I suspect that so much of what's showing up in the world for us today is showing up for us to go, do we agree with more of this that's been going on? And are we going to let it keep going on for another couple of generations? Or have we had enough? And are we willing to say it is time for something different? When your life reflects back to you that you're like, fuck, like, I'm not enjoying my job. I don't love my house. My spouse and I aren't a good fit anymore. Whatever. My health is like garbage. Like, whatever it is that's being reflected back to you. When you finally get to the point of saying, okay, that's enough. It's time to make a change. Fucking everything around you will leap into motion, even if we can't always see it, in order to support that expansion. That is what's happening right now. So I suppose what I want to leave you with, as we close out to nearly an hour, is the world is in a state of expansion. It is your job to be aware of and actively and intentionally choose where you want to put your energy and your focus. Okay? So you, of course, can choose to focus on scarcity and fear-based thinking. And the world is, oh my God, it is pounding the drumbeat of fear and scarcity so hard right now. I get it. Oh my God, do I get it? But that's just one option. And the more of us can go, this is all working out perfectly, and it might feel painful and it might be shit for a while, but it is absolutely going to get better. We need to have that focus and that flow out there. So be mindful of the words that you're saying, the articles and posts that you're sharing, the stuff that you're interacting with, right? Because, like, think about what we talked about earlier, that, like, how you are interacting with content is basically telling what all the different algorithms, right? There's so many of them. Every platform has their own. That this is something that more people need to see. If you want the people around you to expand, first you have to focus on expanding. And expansion does not look like buying into fear and scarcity. It does not look like centering your conversations around the latest atrocities, around how politics is broken or the healthcare system is broken or this flood or that tornado or that wildfire or whatever. If it's directly impactful to you, then, like, of course, please talk with someone about it in a way that allows you to process and shift and move through that. But for crying out loud, like, we need to stop just centering all of the conversation on the garbage that happens. I can tell you about countless people that, like, I'm like, hey, what's new? And they go, oh, well, did you hear so-and-so got divorced and such got murdered? And, like, I knew this person that had, like, this kind of rape happen. And, like, oh, don't even get me started on the floods that are happening here. And, oh my gosh, like, there's a blizzard that's going to be happening. I just want to, okay, as a quick aside, the amount of times I've seen notifications pop up like, there's a blizzard in the spring. And I'm like, there is? Okay. It doesn't look like the weather system coming in. Where is it? Oh, it's the Northwest Territories. Okay. I'm not super informed on, like, the weather systems of the Northwest Territories, but I'm going to just say it doesn't totally surprise me that there might be a blizzard in the Northwest Territories in the beginning of May. Like, it just seems, if you're further up north in the planet, that seems more likely to happen to me. If you told me that a blizzard was happening in, I don't know, Minnesota in August, that would surprise the fuck out of me because it's like, okay, that doesn't track with the typical weather system that happens. But like, right? Like this is the shit I'm talking about. This over dramatization of stuff that has no fucking impact on your day to day just to get your eyeballs and your clicks and your energy in there. All right. This was I'm just going to I'm going to turn off my video here. I have no idea how long it's going to take for my iCloud to upload a 45-minute video. Anyway, that's all right. We'll get there. I just want to end this episode by saying, like, this is a really different episode, and this is not a very common episode, and it's not something that you're going to hear me talk about often. I hope that I have properly, I suppose, midwifed the channeling through to address some of what's been happening in the world, but to give you hope and insight and a kind but firm calling to action to influence and stand in your fucking power. It is so easy right now to say the world is fucked and I am but one person, and what can I do? It is so easy to say that. And I get it. Whew, can hear the emotion coming through. I get it because, oh my goodness, am I feeling that beckoning from without to buy into that. But the truth is, the world is expanding and it is growing and it is getting better. And when we get on board with it and when we stop fighting against it, it can expand in a much more joyful and less painful way. And it is so easy to buy into victim mentality and little me and poor me and whatever, and just like absolve responsibility of our impact in the world. But the truth is, you have impact and influence in the world. My vision for this podcast is, I would love if in the next couple of years, this podcast hits millions and millions of downloads. And it frustrates me at times when I look at the statistics of the podcast and go, really? I'm still I'm seeing consistent downloads, but like, come on. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was more? I look forward to the day that this podcast has millions and millions of downloads. And in the meantime, I am still going to show up as the best version of myself that I can tap into each and every day, each and every time that I sit down to this microphone to talk with you and to share with you and to offer insight and guidance and just some fucking hope. Sometimes that's all we need is just some fucking hope. I will keep striving to do that. And that is my way of trying to do my part to raise the world up. I am not here to drag the world backwards. I am not here to really double down on all of the garbage that we keep getting fed in the hopes that we stay numb and uninformed as to the power and influence that is available for us. Because I know that the old structures need us to be that way in order for them to survive. And I've said this before, what we are witnessing is the dying breaths of the old regime that are trying so fucking hard to hold on right now. They're trying so hard to hold on. It's a broken way of operating, but that does not mean that they aren't going to do everything they can. And unfortunately, because the systems and structures of the world are weighted in a way that positively rewards currently the old, gross, greedy think, but there is so many of us saying that enough is enough. In your own way, it doesn't have to be big, okay? You don't have to quote a coach I've been working with lately, you don't have to set the world on fire. I know feeling that weight for myself was so fucking hard for so long. I was like, oh my God, how does little me accomplish something in the world? How do I possibly, change the way that the politics is going or influence the way financial institutions are working or, whatever? How can I'm just me. I'm not even like, by the world standards, I'm not that amazing. I'm not like some wonder kid or some genius or some like fucking tech billionaire that like can do all these things. How do I possibly do that? And the answer is this. It is step one. It is focusing on me. It is focusing on aligning myself into every fucking day to the best version of me that I can. And I'm going to be real, okay? Because I hear that and I'm like, okay, why can't I be the best today? Because the best version of me last week was like fucking thebomb.com, okay? She was super productive, feeling fucking awesome, like looking fucking awesome, getting shit done, and like fully bought into like all the things that she's creating. And like the best version of me today is like, okay, I can hold the faith. I just need to like, what's the best feeling thought? The best feeling thought is I have some good skills and gifts. The world is asking for what I have. And I just need to keep putting it out there. Like, those are very different energies, right? I just want you to be aware that your best today is not going to look the same every single day. And that is okay. And that is fine. And that is part of being human. And I am not saying that you need to beat yourself up and try to be the bestiest of like the bestest that you can every fucking day. What I am saying is job one starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with you choosing what you're going to focus your thoughts onto. It starts with you choosing what things you click on, what things you share, where do you put your energy into it. It starts with you. It starts on the inside first. And then the second thing is to bring that elevated version of you into the world. Let the world see you. Let the world just marvel at who you are and what you do. I have the deep fortune, and I shouldn't even really use the word fortune because let's be real, candidly, I've been very selective about the people that I allow and regularly engage with in my life. But I have some women in particular, like, yeah, I have some really amazing women in my life who reflect back to me and say, Amy, like, and I had a friend last week. I was like, okay, next week's looking a little busy. And she was like, of course it is. Cause like everybody wants to be in your energy, Amy. And I'm like, they do? Sometimes I don't want to be in my own energy, but like it's easy to dismiss because I gotta be with me 24/7. So like, yay. But what a beautiful reflection to have back that even when I sometimes feel, and it might be an extended period where I feel like, fuck, am I going anywhere? Am I doing anything good? The people around me only see the light that I'm shining out. They see the optimism that I fucking refuse to let go of. They see how I shift the way to perceive and interpret stuff that's happening in the world in a way that doesn't dismiss what's happening, but allows me to see possibility and expansion. And that is a fucking skill. It's something that I've really like built over the entirety of my life. But let me tell you, doing that over and over and over and learning how to kindly but firmly call people forward when we are in conversations and it just is on and on about how the world is going to hell. I'm like, whoa, hold the fucking phone just a minute. Because for as long as we've been around, people have been complaining that the world's been getting worse. And we have statistical proof that says the world is getting better. It just is. So you have the choice to decide how you're going to use your energy and your influence and your focus to direct the world. And yes, I get it. It may feel so fucking infinitesimally small that it's not having any impact at all. But imagine if I can, even in my small way, even if the podcast goes fucking nowhere, right? Simply influence maybe 3 or 4 people in my world. That's 3 or 4 people. And if those 3 or 4 people take that influence and calibrate to their highest version, and they bring that out into the world, and each of them influences 3 or 4 people. Now we've spiraled out to like 9 to 12 people. And if those 9 to 12 people take that, then we have math that I can't do very quickly off the top of my head. But it is an exponential flow. And the truth is, it's an exponential flow that you will never know. You'll never know. You can't. How could you possibly know what that would look like? And I will also just say, it's not to the same degree, but if you are committed to sitting in your shit, to complaining about the state of the world, to always talking about how garbage and how gross and how broken everything is, and just beating the drum of fear and scarcity and lack, you are also influencing the world. You are taking energy out of people. You are dropping the energy of the collective. You are feeding into the energy and the serfdom that the current structures need to have in order to exist. Now, when you do that, it doesn't have the same exponential impact, okay? Because hopefully the people around you are, well, pay attention to who's around you. Are there people mostly like you who are complaining all the time? I'm going to guess that you're probably not even listening to this podcast, but or are you finding that people are not wanting to be around you? They will self-select away. So if that seems to be happening, maybe start paying attention to how have you been approaching the world? What is the stuff that you've been talking about? What is the energy that you are putting out? All right, my loves. Today was a big episode. Yeah. I'd love to hear what you think. Reach out to me on Instagram. You can DM me there at Amy Van Meel. You can comment on any of my most recent posts. You can do that on TikTok as well. I don't think you can DM me on TikTok. I turned that off because there was just a whole bunch of garbage coming through. So I'm like, I'm going to just turn this off for a moment. But let me know what you thought of today's episode. And I truly hope, I'm nervous about publishing this episode because it's so different from what I've done. I've gotten onto topics and into topics that I generally don't dive into. But I truly just felt that I needed to bring this to you, that I needed to share this in some way with you, and hope that by doing so, you will find expansion and hope and inspiration, and keep leaning into the trust that the world is rising up to meet you. The world is expanding. Everything is getting better, even if for a little while it looks like it's all going fuck shit sideways. Okay, my loves. You heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. If you like this episode, share it out. If you have not, please leave a review. Help me tell the algorithm that this is stuff that we want to have more of. And just a quick reminder, if you have questions for the podcast, because you may have forgotten or you may not have scrolled down far enough, on every podcast episode inside the show notes is a link for you to submit questions to the podcast. So feel free to submit questions if you would like me to answer them. I'm sending you the best energy for the best version of today that you can possibly experience. And I say that with a full intent that even if today is a day that you are just wanting to drink copious amounts of wine and stuff your face full of snacks in order to try to find some kind of happiness hormones to get through the day, then maybe that is the best version of today, that you find whatever moment of joy that is available for you. And if you're already having a great day, then amazing. Then let this just expand that. I will see you next week. Next week, we'll get back into like our regular stuff, whatever that looks like. There you go. Here we go. Time to press publish, I guess. Bye for now. Tell me if this resonates. You're a driven, high-performing professional. You've achieved some measure of success, but there's this knowing, this sense, this quiet calling from within that says there's more waiting for you. It might be in your career, it might be in your relationships, in your health, your personal fulfillment, but you just know that there's something more that you want to crack open, and you're just not sure how to get there. Imagine what could happen if you were to work with a coach who really listens deeply to what you're sharing, who sees your unique brilliance and reflects it back to you and helps you create expansion in every area of your life. Why my clients choose to work with me is many, many things. Among them being that I bring over 2 decades of experience investing in coaching and therapy and personal development so that you get to benefit from proven tools and deep wisdom. You will feel truly heard and understood, and this is something that my clients say over and over is one of the most profound and impactful parts of working together with me, and is where their transformation really begins. I guide you to reframe your challenges, to unlock new possibilities, and to ultimately manifest the life that you are craving to live. My coaching isn't about giving answers. It is about asking the most powerful questions and sharing with you wisdom from living in the trenches so that you can discover your own truth, direction, and power. You can expect a very safe, confidential space with me. There's no judgment here, just support and insight and practical strategies tailored to you. Whether you want to advance in your career, find more joy in your day-to-day life, deepen your relationships, work on your health, our work together is personalized to your goals. This is not about quick fixes, my love. I am all about lasting change that feels authentic and empowering. Picture yourself 6 months after we work together, clear, confident, living a life that feels in alignment for you, that feels magical and powerful, and that you just wake up every day like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my life. That's what we can accomplish together through the power of coaching rooted in empathy, experience, and the deep belief in your limitless potential. If you're ready to invest in yourself and create real, lasting expansion, it's time that we work together. This is your invitation to step into a bigger, more fulfilling life, no matter where you want to grow. To find out more, you can reach out to me by email, amy@daretobegin.net, or hit me up on the DMs on Instagram. If you're ready to say yes right now, then head on over to amyvanmeel.com/next level and secure your spot today. I'm so excited to work with you, my love. I can hardly wait to see what we create for you. Let's go. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.